Welcome back, everybody. We're getting Rand Paul set to go, and he's going to be joining us in just a moment.
If you looked at the committee hearings yesterday and with the Foreign Relations Committee in front of Hagel, Secretary of Defense, Secretary of State Kerry, and Martin Dempsey, all answering all the questions for the senators, the one who seems the most skeptical going in and going out is Senator Rand Paul. And one of the things he brought up was the fact that he appreciates the president coming to the Senate and asking for congressional approval, but he still does not approve of this work, and he also believes that his Kentucky constituents who put him in office are overwhelmingly against this military action, which explains why Mitch McConnell has not made a decision yet, and he's up for re-election.
And I tell you what, it got heated at times yesterday between the senator from Kentucky and the former senator from Massachusetts. Here's Rand Paul and John F. Kerry.
We don't want to go to war. We don't believe we are going to war in the classic sense of taking American troops and America to war. The president is asking for the authority to do a limited action that will degrade the capacity of a tyrant who has been using chemical weapons to kill his own people.
And that Republican senator from Kentucky, Rand Paul, joins us now. You were going head-to-head with the Secretary of State yesterday, Senator. Why do you have so much apprehension about going along with this plan for military action?
Well, we have a bit of a disagreement. You know, the Constitution vests the power to go to war in Congress, and I'm proud of the president for coming back to Congress and asking for authority. But what I was asking John Kerry for is admit that we have the authority, and if the vote goes against you, that it's a binding vote. So this morning I will introduce an amendment to the resolution in committee, and I will ask to make it a binding vote and that Congress acknowledge that this is congressional authority and that we have the ability to grant it to the president, but the president doesn't have the ability to initiate war without congressional authority. That's what the Constitution says.
Well, in kicking it to the Congress, he said, I don't need to, but I want to. But let's just move on to your reasons behind not doing it. You do not, for Senator Rand Paul, if you were president or in control, chemical weapons is not a reason for you in particular to put U.S. forces to work.
You know, I think the main reason that American forces or soldiers should be asked to put their life on the line would be when American interests are involved. So this means, you know, attack of our allies, attack of the United States, attack of U.S. assets. There are a lot of reasons why we would have to defend ourselves. But civilian deaths have occurred really throughout the last several decades, throughout Africa, throughout Russia, throughout China. We haven't always got involved with civilians' deaths. It's a tragedy. Make no mistake, it's a tragedy.
But what about chemical warfare? I think the question Brian's getting to is, if a Republican were in office, would you have the same feeling about not attacking a country if they use chemical warfare?
Well, you know, I think it's not about the form of civilian death. Civilian death is an awful thing, whether it's done with a machete, whether it's done with a sniper, machine gun, or chemical death. 100,000 people have died in Syria, and now another 1,000 have died. They're all tragic deaths, but I'm not sure they're different because one came from gas and one came from a bullet. Civilian deaths are a tragedy, and I think we should try to do something about it. I'm just not so sure that war is the answer with American troops involved, because I'm not sure I see a good outcome in Syria. Sure. Both sides in Syria, I think, are unlikely to be allies of the United States. Assad is not a friend to Israel or the United States, but neither are the Islamic rebels. I'm afraid the Islamic rebels taking over will be worse for the Christians and worse off for Israel.
Well, Senator, I know you said yesterday the resolution is probably going to pass the Senate, but you could do one thing to slow things down, and that would be a filibuster.
Yeah, it only temporarily slows things down. As people saw when I did this previously, you can talk for only so long and eventually nature calls. So you can slow things down and sometimes get an answer to things, but you can't permanently delay.
Are you
Some people think, oh, you can filibuster and permanently delay, but you might delay something 12 or 13 hours. Right. What I will try to do is I will try to lead the opposition. Nobody in my state is for this. Not one person has come up to me. It's vastly unpopular. Ask our soldiers. If you could ask our soldiers, are they ready for another deployment next time in Syria? They'll say not no, but hell no. America's not ready for another war.
So obviously you do not trust Senator John Kerry when he says no boots on the ground. We got to wrap it up there. Senator Rand Paul, we'll see if you do the filibuster. We'll be watching. Thanks so much for your time.
All right.